to my colleagues, if you haven't already visited one, I highly encourage you to visit the Alcove Center that's currently operating in Redondo Beach. It's a bright and welcoming environment that was designed and driven by the young people it serves. They lead on choosing the furniture, the decor, the art, the design of the space, all the activities. Literally every corner of the space, from the comment cards posted on the walls to the names given to the plants, reflects an intentional effort to ask young people what they want, what they need, and what makes them feel seen. The services are provided in warm, welcoming rooms called coves, and which is the exact opposite of a sterile clinical setting. Uh, Youth were very clear that they don't want to be in that kind of clinical environment to seek help. They want a safe space where they can talk and not feel stigmatized. And I would argue no one wants to be in a sterile clinical setting when you feel you are at your most vulnerable. The Stanford Alcove model requires adherence to specific standards around size, layout, core services, and requires youth advisory groups. This approach worked for Beach Cities, and as you'll hear today, it works for the youth that they serve. I hope and believe that we should expand this type of youth center in the county so we can identify, support, and address mental health challenges early for our youngest constituents, hopefully before they escalate. So I want to thank DMH for meeting with the youth, for visiting the site, for taking time to learn about the model firsthand and to take their lived experience seriously. I was taken by the model such that I invested SD2 discretionary dollars to create another youth advisory group that's going to help shape the new youth center we're building in South Los Angeles across from the MLK Medical Campus. These upstream efforts and the youth who lead them are worthy of our investment and our attention. They represent really one of the bright spots of our county's future. So I want to thank everyone who are here today and who submitted comments online.
Trevor Ho, a junior in high school and a youth leader on the youth advisory group at Alcove Beach Cities. Now, to all the parents in the room, you know that teenagers don't always listen. So, if they don't listen to their parents, can we really expect them to listen to other adults? My brother was that sort of rebellious kid, and I admired him to my very core. However, he ended up going down a different path. He wasn't the sort to respond to rehab centers or clinics led by groups of adults who didn't understand him. On this path, his best friend was lost to overdose, remaining a forever 14-year-old boy. What I've learned from this is that addiction rarely starts with addiction. It begins with untreated mental health conditions. We cannot wait until a child is wheeled away under a white cloth to act. It also taught me that most of those that really need help won't just recover because an adult tells them to. That's why we need places like Alcove. It creates a community of youth to help guide the rest of their peers. I share all this not for sympathy, I share it to give perspective. Early support works.
I'm the co-chair of the Alcove Youth Advisory Group. My first contact with the mental health care system wasn't a therapist or a conversation, it was a police officer at my front door. I was 12 years old. While adults spoke around me about involuntary commitment and protocol, I wasn't thinking about getting help. I was staring at the gun on the officer's hip, and from then on, I was scared. What followed was a cycle of hospitals and treatment programs that didn't really feel like healing. While those scars and attempts on my skin, like trophies I couldn't stop collecting, I felt I became a checklist, a case to stabilize, clinicians caring more about metrics and compliance than healing. And I wasn't alone. I keep hearing the sentence over and over from my friends who went through the same thing. Maybe I needed to be there, but I didn't need what happened to me there. And some of those friends aren't here anymore. It's too late. We cannot intervene too late. And that's why investment in Alcove matters.
My name is Alina Rashid Faroki. I'm a senior currently serving my second term on the Alcove Youth Advisory Group. Growing up, I mastered the art of pretending I was fine, even when the world felt like it was crumbling around me. I tried hard to mask the academic stress, anxiety, grief, and challenging home environment I had to navigate, while also watching family members struggle and refuse to get help because it was seen as a sign of weakness. However, what I tried even harder to hide was my disability. Growing up blind taught me more than anything the ways that our world isn't built for me. Everywhere I turned, I was faced with inaccessibility, barriers to care, and a constant feeling that no one truly understood. These experiences showed me how our systems fail the people that need support the most. That's why Alcove stands out. Alcove actively works to dismantle barriers to care that keep young people from getting help in the first place through transportation, culturally sensitive care, drop-in support, and free resources for any young person.
I'm Hooper, and I'm a peer specialist at Alcove Beach Cities. Before I ever worked at Alcove, I was a young person in crisis. I struggled with addiction, grief, and a loss of identity and purpose. From the outside, things looked fine, but internally, I was falling apart. I know what it feels like to sit with that kind of pain and not know where to turn. Today, I have nearly 5.5 years of sobriety, and one of the greatest gifts of my life has been turning my journey, my pain, my mistakes, and my recovery into a career of helping other young people find their way. At Alcove Beach Cities, one of my primary roles is meeting one-on-one with young people. Every week, I sit across from individuals who carry the same weight I once carried. When a young person tells me they feel shamed, stuck, or hopeless, I don't just empathize, I understand. I've seen young people walk through our doors, guarded, anxious, barely making eye contact, and weeks later begin to open up, advocate for themselves, reconnect with family, return to school, choose sobriety, or simply begin to believe that their life has value again.